Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located. Thank you all so much for joining Amtrak Vacations for today's exciting presentation. Folks, any questions that you may have during today's presentation, please feel free to type those away in your question box located on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will save time to answer any questions that you may have at the end of today's presentation. Today's presentation is scheduled to be about 30 to 45 minutes, give or take, with questions. Please be sure to check that your device speakers are unmuted. And with that in mind, let's get started. And folks, we are here to talk about round trip rail vacations with Amtrak Vacations. My name's Jim Marini. Will probably be your host here today. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. By the way, to find out more information to plan your next exciting rail vacation of a lifetime, pick up that phone, give us a call. We are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that number is listed in the bottom right-hand corner. You could visit our website, and you can also book any of these exciting trips through your local travel advisor. Now, we have lots to cover today, but some of the important things to cover is what to know about traveling by train, popular destinations to consider for your next rail vacation, and routing your vacation right from your local hometown Amtrak train station. So again, if any of you joining us here today, if you do not like to fly or you don't want to drive and you're looking for something different, we got you covered. Now, for those of you who may not be as familiar with Amtrak Vacations, we are part of the Yankee Leisure Group family of brands. So if you look all the way to the left-hand side, folks, this is our electronic digital brochure for Amtrak Vacations. We are the official tour operator here in the United States for Amtrak. So what does that mean? We can take care of everything for you, your friends and family, from rail plus hotels, meals, sightseeing tours, activities, even car rentals. We have some great packages put together from 2, 3, 4 day weekend, week-long getaways to 1 and 2 weeks across the country, including out to the beautiful national parks. Now, if you look at the brochure in the middle, that is Yankee Holidays. This is all of our driving vacations, our road trips, all right here in the US and Canada. And all the way to the right-hand side is our sister brand Rail Bookers. This is all of our Canadian, our European, our worldwide rail vacations. So certainly as the rest of the world starts to open up slowly but surely, you will have something exciting to look forward to, and we got you covered between all three of our brands. So very excited to share that with all of you. And here's probably the best part. Any of you looking to travel with Amtrak Vacations, you can leave and travel literally from today. Yes, folks, if you want to get out of your house and you want to go somewhere, you can travel as early as today, tomorrow, in the next 1 to 2 weeks, 1 to 2 months, all the way up to 2023. Now, there's so many reasons why travelers love Amtrak Vacations. If you look in the top left-hand corner, when you book any exciting trip or your travel advisor books any exciting trip with us, they are speaking to a live rail expert who knows the rail, the best routes, the best times. As I mentioned, you can book and travel from today all the way to 2023. Now, we do have an exciting maximum flexibility offer going on, which I'll share with you in just a little bit. We also have the largest rail vacation selection in the world for independent style rail vacations, not only here in the US, but also throughout Canada, Europe, and around the world. And the last point in the bottom right-hand corner, no rail trip is too complicated for us. Folks, we can customize and personalize any trip for you, your friends, and family just the way you would like. And how are we able to do that? All rail vacations are customizable. So if you look in the top left-hand corner, if you want to add on a destination, maybe you have friends and family in other parts of the country and you want to visit them before, during, or after your trip, you can do that. You can add an extra night on any trip that you choose. Today, it is about round trip vacation. So if, again, any of you do not want to fly or you don't feel like flying, I know last time I checked, many airlines are running very limited schedules, okay? Lots of schedules have also been canceled due to the volume and demand in domestic travel. Why not travel right from your local hometown Amtrak train station? You could do that with Amtrak Vacations. You could also upgrade your rail ticket, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. You can add sightseeing tours or upgrade to private tours. Again, all rail vacations are customizable. Now, there's many reasons to book right now, but one of the best reasons is our maximum flexibility offer, which only lasts until the end of September of this year. So what does that mean? Any new reservation that you make, any new booking that you make with us or through your local travel advisor before September 30th of this year with a small deposit of only $250 per person to travel anytime this year, next year, or even into 2023, as long as you book with that small deposit before the end of September of this year, if you did need to change or postpone your trip after you book, we are waiving any and all change and cancellation fees. Basically, in a nutshell, folks, you have the freedom to change your dates, your duration, or even the destination of your vacation after you book, as long as you book before the end of September of this year. Let's talk about some of these exciting round trip packages. And we're going to start out with our Grand Canyon to Yosemite from the great city of Chicago, round trip from Chicago. And that's what you're looking at right here is the great city of Chicago, where typically we always include an architecture cruise. Now, what's great is your clients and you will also travel to Williams, which is the gateway to the Grand Canyon National Park. Do you know in the year 2019, over 7 million visitors traveled to the Grand Canyon National Park? And speaking of the number 7, it's considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. They actually estimate some parts of the Grand Canyon, folks, are up to 6,000 feet deep. Now, this trip's special because it also includes the great city of San Francisco, home of the Golden Gate Bridge. By the way, do you know they say it takes about 7 years to paint this bridge from one side to the other? That's how long it takes. San Francisco, known as the city by the bay, great Italian food, Asian food, seafood, just an awesome city. And you know what's near San Francisco? You are looking at it, Yosemite National Park. Now, if you want to travel to areas, folks, where there's lots of open spaces. Do you know Amtrak Vacations? We actually visit 18 different national parks throughout the United States, from the East Coast, the Midwest, out to the West Coast. And this trip includes some of those fantastic national parks such as Yosemite. And as I mentioned, it's a day trip from San Francisco. Now, the train does not physically go to Yosemite, but we include a round trip guided tour on a local luxury motor coach bus with a tour guide who's with you for the day. And San Francisco is fantastic. And I will mention, whether it's San Francisco or any of our great cities, you also get to choose between 3, 4, and 5-star hotels. And speaking of 3, 4, and 5-star hotels, the same applies in the great city of Chicago. Here's a hotel known as the Drake Hotel, which I actually just had the pleasure of staying in about a month ago as I traveled out to the great city of Chicago. And when you talk about location, 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 the Drake Hotel will not disappoint. This hotel is located 1 block away from Michigan Avenue, which is the main strip, the main street within Chicago, lined with shops and restaurants. It's also within walking distance of the Navy Pier, which is such a great attraction. And folks, this is all round trip from the great city of Chicago. Now, for any of you that might be located in the East Coast, the South, even the West Coast, if you're wondering, well, how do I get to and from Chicago? Well, guess what, folks? We can start you, or your local travel advisor can start you right from your local Amtrak train station and bring you to and from the great city of Chicago. Or if you want to book flights, you certainly can fly into O'Hare or Midway, or even better, your travel advisor can book flights and the entire package for you. Now, if you look at the map, everyone, this will serve as a great example to all the trips that I'm going to highlight here today. The red lines that you see in the map, those represent the trains, the different trains that you experience. The number 1, the number 2 in a red triangle just tells you how many nights that you're overnighting on board the trains. The number 1, the number 2 tells you how many nights you're overnighting in each of these great cities. And as I mentioned earlier, any trip can be customized. So folks, if you want 4 nights in the Grand Canyon instead of 2 nights, as you can see on the map, we can easily add extra days, or your local travel advisor can add extra days. Or if you want to have less nights, maybe instead of 3 nights in San Francisco, you only want 2. You can add days or take out days. You get to decide. Now, as we talk about some of these fantastic round trip rail vacations, This one right here, folks, is one of our signature, most popular round trip rail vacations out to the national parks that we have. This is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. Now, what is the gateway to Yellowstone National Park? You are looking at it, Salt Lake City, where you will have a chance to spend an evening, have dinner at one of the local restaurants, stay at where you would like between a 3, 4, and 5-star hotel before traveling in a motor coach luxury bus on your way to Yellowstone National Park. Now, some of you may even choose to go on your own, and we can help you along with your travel advisor if you prefer to drive. All right. Now, Yellowstone National Park, just a little fun trivia for all of you. Do you know if you take the states of Rhode Island and Delaware and combine them, both of those states are smaller than Yellowstone National Park? Imagine that, folks. Both of those states are smaller. Now, this is about a 4 to 5 hour journey and motor coach bus ride or drive on your own from Salt Lake City with some of the most beautiful scenery along the way. Now, after you spend time in Yellowstone, this travels to my old stopping grounds, Southern California, Los Angeles, folks, where weather on an average is in the 60s to 70s, very little to no humidity. Now, Los Angeles, of course, home of Beverly Hills, right? Home of Hollywood. You will certainly not be disappointed. And that includes the Grand Canyon. This is also included in this trip as well. And what you're looking at right here, folks, this is an optional adventure that we offer, and that's river rafting. We even offer optional helicopter rides. So depending on how adventurous you, your friends, and family want to be, we will certainly help you. And then it goes to Williams before traveling over to the great city again of Chicago, home of the Navy Pier. And as I mentioned, most of our hotels are also located near the train stations. Many of the hotels also are within walking distance of all of the great attractions. So keep this package in mind. If you want to see multiple national parks and you don't feel like driving or flying in between each destination, this is one of our top 3 most popular round trip rail vacations, and that is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. Now, for any of you that have Denver and the Rocky Mountains on your wish list, then consider this package that goes to these great destinations, starting out with the Mile High City, Denver, which, by the way, I will say has my favorite, outside of Union Station in Chicago, my other favorite train station in all of the United States, and that is in the great city of Denver, which is also the gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park. Now, you see, here's the best part, everyone. All of our trips are independent style vacations, flexible independent travel. So what does that mean? On certain days, such as in Rocky Mountain National Park, you will have a local tour guide that will be with you for a half a day. And in some cases, on some of our trips to many of the other national parks, you may have a full day guided tour with a local tour guide. But guess what? On other days, you may have a free day or a afternoon at leisure. You certainly will have some time to explore the Mile High City of Denver. And again, picking and choosing where you would like to stay. You have that option in every great city and every national park that we visit. You get to decide between a 3, 4, or 5-star or 5-diamond hotel. Now, Chicago, absolutely amazing. All right. Here you are looking out of what's known as Willis Tower, formerly known as Sears Tower, one of the highest buildings in all of the United States, giving you that 360-degree view. And this is an outdoor viewing platform made completely of glass, folks. I was up here probably about 5, 6 years ago myself, and it's a little interesting, needless to say, but it is absolutely breathtaking. So if you want a getaway trip, and that's the nice thing to keep in mind, folks, we have a nice range of round trip packages. So for any of you that are trying to stay within a certain price point or a certain budget or a certain amount of days, we have packages, again, that can be anywhere from 3, 4, 5 days, as you can see here, being a 5-day getaway trip, to 1 and 2 weeks long. It just depends on where and when and how many days that you are looking to travel. Now, for any of you that want to see Niagara Falls. It doesn't only have to be the national parks. Folks, we go all over the United States, and I'm going to show you the Amtrak Vacations map in just a few minutes, where you get to see all the different train routes that you have the ability to take advantage of. But here's a great package where you can stay in New York, but still visit Niagara Falls, one of the most iconic destinations in the world, let alone right here on the American and Canadian border. Now, obviously, this package happens to stay on the American side of the falls and visits the American side of Niagara Falls. But as many of you may be aware, as of August 9th, guess what, folks? Americans are able to travel to Canada. Now, I will say many folks that are looking to travel to Canada, many of them are looking to travel with the majority in 2022, some as early as this fall. But if you still want to travel to the falls, you can do it and stay on the American side. And you can also even visit New York City, which is such a great destination in itself. All right, again, folks, every map, the red lines represent the trains. The round black circles let you know how many nights that you're in each of these great areas, okay? With the option of being customizable and personalizing any tour. Now, one of my personal favorite destinations in all of the United States, folks, you are looking at it. New Orleans, otherwise known as New Orleans, the French Quarter, Bourbon Street. Well, here's a great package known as our River Walk to the French Quarter, round trip from Chicago. Now, by the way, for any of you that are wondering, again, do you have to start and end in Chicago? The answer is no. You can start and end and originate right from your local Amtrak station. So if you are in New York, if you are in Alabama, Florida, Texas, California, you can start and end at any local Amtrak train station. These are sample packages that happen to start or end in Chicago, but you could start and end wherever you'd like. One thing's for sure, you will not be disappointed in New Orleans, one of our top 3 most popular cities that folks are traveling to as early as this year and throughout 2022. Why? Great jazz. Why? Great blues. Why? Great rock and roll. Let's not forget about the great cuisine, jambalaya, Cajun style cuisine. Now, lots to see and do. It's a lively destination. So maybe some of you have a special anniversary coming up. Maybe some of you have a special birthday, or maybe you want to do a guy's trip or a girl's trip. Whatever the reason is, New Orleans will not disappoint, and nor will Chicago if you decide to do this trip, round trip from the great city of Chicago. And this trip, again, also includes San Antonio, home of the Riverwalk. All right, so you can see the trip right here, as you can see. And again, this happens to be round trip from Chicago, but this trip or any trip can be round trip right from your local Amtrak station. Again, you can originate right from your local Amtrak train station. Now, speaking of Amtrak trains, let's talk about seating and sleeping accommodations on board the train. And before I move into that, did you know you are allowed 2 free carry-on bags per person and 2 free pieces of checked luggage, folks? All right, up to 50 pounds per luggage, up to 50 pounds per luggage per person. Last time I checked, most airlines, there is a charge even for your first piece of luggage. Not when you travel on board with Amtrak Vacations. And let's take a look at where you can travel to by train. And I want to leave this slide up here for just a minute or two, okay? Folks, if you look at the map, you see all those red lines? All those red lines represent all the different Amtrak trains throughout the United States. The white dots on the red lines, those represent all the different Amtrak train stations that you can start and or end your rail vacation at. And by the way, there's over 500 Amtrak train stations throughout the United States. The green lines, the light blue lines that you see, those are what we call our motor coach throughway service. Basically what those are buses that bring you to and from many of those great national parks, many of those great cities where the trains do not physically travel to. National parks such as Yellowstone National Park, national parks such as Yosemite National Park. How about Las Vegas? How about Nashville? All right, these are some iconic and fantastic fun cities and destinations that, you know something? we still can provide transportation for each and every one of you and your friends and family to get to. Now, being on board the train is such an awesome experience, and we're going to talk about that. Did you know one of the first big highlights when you upgrade to private sleepers, you actually have priority separate boarding? And we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. But for those of you that are traveling on board the train during the day and you choose coach accommodations, this is what it looks like. Okay, lots of leg room. I'm going to give you a big highlight as well right here, right now, everyone. There are no middle seats on board the train. That is a big highlight. So you never have to worry about getting stuck in the middle seat on board any train. All right. Especially when you're traveling to some of the beautiful national parks. And by the way, we go again to 18 different national parks. I can't list them all here today, but not only Yellowstone, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, Glacier. How about Mount Rushmore? How about Acadia National Park? How about the Smoky Mountains? I could go on and on, whether it's in the eastern US, the western US. And if the train doesn't go there, guess what, folks? We either have motor coach throughway service, which is on a luxury motor coach bus, or you even have the ability to have your own private car rental, which we and or your local travel advisor can help you with those arrangements. Now, one thing to keep in mind, masks and facial coverings would be required on board the train in the open areas. But I want to talk about some important things to know when you upgrade to private sleep and accommodations. And one of the first points I want to mention is, did you know when you upgrade to a private sleeper, you have a dedicated car attendant, plus included toiletries, bottled water, and coffee? But I'm going to give you one of the biggest highlights right here, right now, folks. You ready? Not only do you have your own privacy door that you can close, it does lock from the inside, just so you know. You can close the curtain during the day if you want to take a little nap, or certainly in the evening for a good night's rest. But guess what, folks? When that door is closed and those curtains are closed and you have upgraded to a private sleeper, you have the option, if you choose, to take off your facial covering or mask. Why? Because it's as if you are in your own private hotel room. All right. Once that door is closed and that curtain is closed, folks, you have that option, if you choose, to take off your facial covering or mask. Now, as we know, if any of us were flying, myself included, that mask or facial covering needs to be on at all times. Even when you're having something to drink or a bite to eat, you have to pull it down, take a quick sip or take a quick bite, and put it right back up in between each sip, in between each bite. When you upgrade to a private sleeper and that door is closed and those curtains are closed, you absolutely have the option to take off your facial covering and mask. Now, something exciting too that many of you may be aware of is Amtrak also has what's called flexible dining. All right, flexible dining, which basically means you can order hot, fresh items for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they can be delivered right to your own private sleepers. Now, that's on the majority of our trains in the eastern United States, pretty much the trains from Chicago heading to New York down to Florida, primarily in the eastern United States. But guess what? As of June 23rd of this year, which was only a little over a month ago, guess what? Traditional dining service has been restored on many of our overnight iconic trains. By the way, I highlighted many of them here today. Trains such as the Empire Builder. That's the train, folks, that goes from Chicago out to Glacier National Park, out to Seattle. And these trains can go in either direction, either east to west or west to east. Or how about the California Zephyr, which is my personal favorite train of any of the overnight iconic trains in the United States? That's the train that goes from Chicago out to Denver, over into Salt Lake City before ending in San Francisco. And again, it goes in either direction. Or how about the Southwest Chief that goes from Chicago out to Santa Fe, over into Flagstaff, Arizona before ending in Los Angeles? Those trains have sit-down service for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where an Amtrak waiter or waitress will serve you meals right from the comfort of the dining room. And as you can see, it's tables of four, so you also get a chance to meet fellow travelers on board the train. Now, if you do have any special dietary or meal requests, just let us or let your local travel advisor know, and we'll make those arrangements. Now let's talk about sleep and accommodations. And what you're looking at right here, folks, this is the most popular and the most affordable sleeping category of any sleepers on board the train. This is a roomette. Okay. And as you can see, you can sit back, relax, enjoy the sight scenery sounds along the journey. As I mentioned, again, when your door is closed and those curtains are closed, you absolutely have the option to take off your facial covering or mask. You can certainly read a book, listen to a little music. And one other point to mention too, anytime any of you upgrade to a private sleeper, you also have the option to sit in any available coach seat free of charge if you choose. So if you want to just be in another part of the train just to get some fresh air and just mix it up, obviously when you are in coach, masks or facial coverings do need to be required until further notice, or you can just sit back, relax, take a nap during the day, as I mentioned, or certainly in the evening for a good night's rest. Let me show you a larger diagram of what a roomette looks like. And as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, folks, it is bunk bed style, okay? What you don't see inside of a roomette is its own private toilet, shower, or vanity. And the reason is we have what we call private yet shared restroom access, private yet shared shower access. And all that means is right down the hall, just like you'd have at your own homes, we have multiple toilets and multiple showers that you, your friends, and family can use. And it's only available for folks that upgrade to sleepers. So people in coach seating do not have access to these multiple toilet showers and vanities. Now, you know yourselves the best. If you want your own private toilet, shower, and vanity inside of your room, then you're going to want to consider to upgrade one level higher, and that's a bedroom. And as you can see in this next picture, everyone, it is larger in size than a roomette. And what you may not be able to notice is the lower bunk bed is actually 1.5 times as wide as the top bunk bed, which actually allows room for a small child. So if any of you are looking to travel with your children or grandchildren, if they are pretty much 12 years of age or younger, they also could share the lower bunk bed with any of you. All right. Let me show you a diagram of what this looks like. And as you can see, similar to a roomette, it is bunk bed style, but it's larger and it does have its own in-room restroom and its own in-room shower. Now, I will tell you one other exciting point too. A couple years ago, my family and I, my wife and I, and our 3 children, we took the one and only train that allows trucks, cars, motorcycles. You know what that is, folks? The auto train. Yes. And we had a fantastic experience. It's the one and only train in the United States that allows cars, trucks, automobiles. And you know what my family and I did? We got 2 bedrooms side by side that were considered adjoining bedrooms. So what we did is we opened up the door in the middle, and my family and I were able to go back and forth between the 2 bedrooms. On some of our overnight trains, not all of them, on some of our overnight trains, we do offer that option. We also have accessible bedrooms available. Now, these are very limited, but they are available. So if any of you or your friends or family may need an accessible bedroom, feel free to let us or let your local travel advisor know. Now, I see we have a lot of great questions, folks, which is great. We're almost at the end of my portion of presenting before I open it up to all the great questions that you have. But I did want to mention, any of you that are traveling with your children or grandchildren, did you know if they're between the ages of 2 and 12, they can get up to 50% off on the rail portion of a package. So whatever the cost of the rail ticket is, based in coach seating, within a package, they can get up to 50% off. Now, if any of you are 65 or older, you can qualify for 10% off on the rail portion of a package. Any military, first and foremost, thank you for your service. If you, your friends, family, dependents want to travel, you can also qualify for 10% off on the rail portion of our packages. Now, as many of you may know, we do these webinars every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we're talking about what is life really like on board Amtrak. We're going to go deeper into that. The following week, we're going to talk about our top East Coast destinations to travel to by train. But speaking of destinations, folks, I see we have a lot of questions that have come in. And before I open it up to your questions, I have one fun question for all of you. And I'm going to give everyone a minute or two. If you'd be so kind, in your question box, folks, on the right-hand side of your screen, just type in for me, what destinations are you considering for your next vacation? All right, so I'm going to give everyone a minute or two. Feel free to just take a couple minutes and just type in those fantastic destinations that you are looking at, you are considering in your question box. All right, I see Los Angeles, Utah National Parks, Grand Canyon. Thank you, Holly. William, Portland. Sharon, oh my goodness, so many. Grand Canyon, Smokies, Acadia, Santa Fe, Florida, Yellowstone. I'm going on the Grand Rail. Thank you, Gerald. West Coast, cross country, Niagara Falls, Acadia, Seattle, Maine, Portland, East Coast, San Antonio. Keep them coming, everyone. My goodness, I knew we were going to have a fantastic audience, so thank you. Keep those answers coming. Folks, I just wanted to mention for those of you who may have joined us a little bit later, again, we are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That phone number is listed on the left-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You can also check out any of these packages online or book through your local travel advisor, who again, not only can book any package that I highlighted here today, but can also book flights for you, either one way or round trip. So whatever is easier for all of you. So with that in mind, folks, all right, we're going to take a few minutes and I'm going to open it up to any and all of your questions. And I'm going to do my very best to get to as many as possible. We have a large audience joining us here today, because one thing's for sure, people are traveling domestically now more than ever before they really start to travel internationally. Certainly as the rest of the world is starting to open up, it's still a little bit tricky to travel outside the US, as many of us are aware. It's created a huge surge, a huge demand of travel right here in our own backyard. And that's where we, or your local travel advisor, can help you. So with that in mind, let's get started. Hello, Sherry. Do we have to be vaccinated to ride on board Amtrak? You do not. You do not have to show proof of vaccinations. Again, obviously, facial coverings and masks are required. Mahesh, hello, Mahesh. Are there mini freezers in the roomettes option for my meds? So they don't have it inside of a roomette or a bedroom, Mahesh, but they can store that in the kitchen area. So if you do need anything that would be frozen or needs to be in a mini freezer, you just let us or let your local travel advisor know. Obviously, yes, Mahesh, due to some of the recent fires, the California Zephyr. So what they've done is, in some cases, they're rerouting some folks, certainly for any folks that are traveling in the near future in the next 1 to 2 weeks. In some of the cases, for some of the wildfires, they've rerouted folks. I've also put them on some of the motor coach throughway buses. We'll always work around any natural disaster or give you or your family or friends the option to postpone your trip if or when anything were to occur. So thank you, Mahesh. Hope that helps. Thank you so much. Hello, Michael. Good morning. I planned a 13-day national parks tour, but I had to reschedule because of the wildfires. Can I reschedule at the same rate? Michael, yes. So great question. It's all live pricing, but I can tell you we will always do our best to try to lock in those same rates. Pricing is live, and that's something to keep in mind. And thank you, Michael, for your support, and thank you for traveling with us or planning to travel with us. Think about if you're buying airline tickets, and I'm sure all of you at some point have bought airline tickets or have flown, right? You could check in the morning on a flight, as an example, from Boston to Chicago, and it might be $350. But later in the day, that same flight could be $450, right? Or it could be $400. Pricing is live. Train travel is no different. It's all live pricing, but we will always try to help find the best trip, the best price, the best package we can. All right. So thank you so much. Yep, William. So again, ice on board. They do have ice on board for a medical cooler, sure. So you just let, and I always say, William, just let us or let your local travel advisor know ahead of time, just so we can put it in the record so they are aware of that. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay, just moving along. Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for your kind words. Yes, Sharon. So these prices do include hotel in all the packages. When you get to the train stations, many of the hotels, folks, are within walking distance or a short cab ride. Remember, all our trips are independent style vacations, flexible independent travel, but we always partner with hotels either within walking distance from the train station or a short cab ride. And many of the train stations, most of them all have taxis and cabs right out in front. So once you arrive, you have that ability to be able to take a quick little taxi or cab if it's not as close to walk. All right. Thank you, Sharon. Hello, John. Let's see. We planned with a planned tour like Chicago to Yosemite. Can we start and end the trip from Los Angeles? John, absolutely yes. Again, here's the best part, everyone, and thank you for asking that, John. Any trip can start or end right from your local Amtrak train station, including Sherry, Birmingham, Alabama. Yes, including Birmingham, Alabama. All right, let's see. Okay. Gerald, I am leaving on the Grand Rail Experience. Oh, fantastic, Gerald. Have a great time, by the way. I have been fully vaccinated. Do I have to get a COVID test prior to going? You do not. Any of you do not need the vaccination or need a COVID test prior to traveling. Again, you would just need to have facial coverings or masks until further notice. And as I mentioned, when you do upgrade to a private sleeper, folks, and your door is closed and those curtains are closed, guess what? It's as if you are in a hotel room. You have that option if you choose to take off your facial covering or mask. Sherry, yes, Mount Rushmore. Yes, so Sherry, I think I may have mentioned that. That's one of many national parks that we go to. And again, not all the national parks have trains that go right up to the national park. So in those cases, you have the option to either drive and we can help you, or your travel advisor can help you with car rentals, or with our motor coach throughway service. All right, so just wanted to mention that. Let's see. Let's see. Hi, Michael. I understand the portions of the rail that are placed with buses due to the wildfire. Will the rails be repaired by early 2022? Yes, that is the goal, Michael. And, you know, I was watching on TV yesterday too as well. And it's something we're so excited about. And I hope all of you are as well. Amtrak has gotten the largest funding and in the process of getting the largest funding that it's ever gotten ever in the history of Amtrak. When you talk about really investing in our own country and our own, you know, signature style of transportation, which is train travel, which many of you may know. Do you know this year's the 50th anniversary, Michael? 50th anniversary of Amtrak. All right, which is really cool. So definitely lots of support across the board for train travel here in the United States. And as I'm sure many of you will agree, if you've traveled throughout Europe and other areas around the world, you know, train travel is certainly it's up to speed. I mean, it's in some cases they have high speed trains, and it's really a way of life. And that's where the US is moving more and more towards, to give all of you and your friends and family another fantastic option in addition to flying, because not everybody wants to fly. Not everyone wants to wait in an airport 5, 10, 12 hours. All right. Train travel, it's a great option. All right. And all of you certainly have proven that being on today's presentation. So thank you all. The train does have ice, yes, for a medical chest, William. So solo travel, Deborah, hello, Deborah. We have about 15 to 20% of our travelers, Deborah, that are single solo travelers. So yes, definitely safe. And it's a huge form of travel for Amtrak Vacations. All right, so I wanted to mention that. Let's see, okay. April, private bathrooms. It's not in this PowerPoint, but we do have it on our website. So you can view more about the sleepers. Also, if you're speaking to your local travel advisor or one of our vacation consultants, they also can send you more details on that as well. So just let us know. Let's see. Okay. Pamela, so yes, so you always have the option on any of our trips. There's basically 3 to 4 levels, okay, on board the train. You have coach seating, which is the main seating. Then you have a roomette. That's your first level of sleepers. Then from a roomette, you have a bedroom. Now, it is an additional cost. The higher, you know, the larger the room is, right, the more expensive it will be. But again, we can give you those options. Your travel advisor can give you the options, so you make the best choice that works best for you. All right, but you do have that option. We do also have family bedrooms and accessible bedrooms as well. Let's see. Sarita, great question. Are you allowed to carry your own food if on at all? You absolutely can bring your own snacks, your own sandwiches, your own food on board. And I'm going to give you a big highlight, because Sarita, you just reminded me. Any of you that upgrade to a private sleeper, did you know you can bring your own alcoholic beverages on board the train? Only people that are in private sleepers have that option and ability to do. Now, whatever you may consume, any alcoholic beverages you may consume, that's your own alcoholic beverages, it does need to be consumed from the privacy of your own room. And in other words, you can't bring a bottle of wine that you brought on board out to the dining area, but you can have a glass or two if you choose from the comfort of your own room before or after your dinner. All right. So thank you, Sarita. Richard, single supplement policy. Obviously, just like a cruise line, it's always going to be more expensive for any single solo travelers than it would be for any of you that are traveling as a twin or double occupancy. And the reason is, instead of two people taking the space of one room, it's one person in one room. But on many of our trips, I will say it's very affordable. And this is why we have such a large percentage of single solo travelers, because it's not much more in some cases than it would be as a double rate. It's always going to be more as a single solo traveler, but it's still affordable. All right. So thank you, Richard. What photo ID is permissible for proof of identity? Sarita, yep. Driver's license, passport, never hurts as well. But Cheryl, how noisy it is on board? It's very comfortable, very non, if anything, you'll just hear a little bit of the sounds of the tracks a little bit, or, as you're traveling through. But they have Amtrak attendants going up and down the aisles. Everyone's very, very respectful to one another as far as any type of noise. So it's very quiet. Everyone will be very happy. I know in all the trips I've been on, and I've been on many of them for many years, they've been great. Let's see. Okay. What is the rail cost for Chicago to Seattle to San Francisco? So Walter, great question. The answer is I do not know, because it's all live pricing. My best advice is pick up the phone. Just give us a quick call. You can speak to one of our vacation consultants, or even better, contact your local travel advisor as well. All right. Hello, M. Elizabeth. How are you? From Jack. Hello, Jack. Grand Canyon from Chicago. How many days round trip? Well, if you go from Chicago, it's an overnight journey from Chicago out to Flagstaff, and then Flagstaff, you travel to Williams, which is the gateway to the Grand Canyon. And if you did it round trip, so you're looking, if you want to spend 2-3 nights in the Grand Canyon, then you'd be looking at 4 or 5 nights. If you literally just wanted to travel down, it's one night going down to Arizona from Chicago and one night coming back. All right. So anyway, hope that helps. Thank you, Jack. Let's see. Does the medical, great question, Chris. Does a medical cooler count as one of the carry-ons? It does not. So but you do want to let our vacation consultants or your travel advisor know, just so they could put that into the record. Let's see, is it possible to get a cross-country trip without a multiple-hour layover? Barbara, absolutely it is. Yes, so depending on where and when you're looking to travel, we can help you with that, or your local travel advisor. April, Pittsburgh, yes, we have packages that can start and end in Pittsburgh. Absolutely. Is the trip package for New Orleans suitable for an 8-year-old? And the answer is yes, Tracy. In fact, the head of our product department, who literally, him and his team helped design all these fantastic packages, he is in New Orleans literally right now as we speak, Tracy, with his daughter, who, by the way, is 5 years old. New Orleans is a fun place. Obviously, in the evenings, of course, you're not going to be out. We wouldn't recommend to be out too late at night, because that's when, more of the, the teen, the older folks are certainly going to be out and about and having some fun. But throughout the days and into the early evening, absolutely, Tracy, absolutely. Let's see. Corey, hello, Corey. We just completed our first Amtrak vacation package to Glacier. I highly recommend this. Zero problems. Oh, thank you so much, Corey. Amtrak Vacations. It's one call. They'll do it all. I love it. Corey, thank you for your kind words. Which is the best way to plan a trip? Roger and Judy, hello. Best way is either giving us a call at that phone number in the bottom left-hand corner, or if you have a local travel advisor, to reach out to he or she, because again, they can plan any trip. It doesn't cost you a penny extra. And if you want to fly one way or round trip, they can even book your flights. We don't book flights with Amtrak Vacations, obviously, because we are Amtrak Vacations, and it's all about train travel and all the great destinations you could travel to. But that's what I would recommend, Roger and Judy, one of those ways, or either of those, okay? Do we have Eastern fall foliage? Francis, yes. Guess what? If you hear an accent, I'm from Boston, all right? Come out to New England. Here's what I suggest: late September into the first 2 weeks of October. Now, I will let everyone know, including you, Francis, space is extremely limited for fall foliage for this year, but Doesn't mean we can't try to find space some way, somehow, but we are already taking reservations for 2022 as well. Let's see. Hello, Roger and Judy. So buy a round trip package, customize it, or just customize your own trip. I always say, Roger and Judy, whatever package you're thinking of, chances are whatever destination and trip you're thinking of, chances are we already have a package that's either exactly like it or very similar. So typically best way is to look at one of the packages we have and then customize it from there, because it's already been built, and then we can easily add on any days or take out days or add any additional stops. That's the best way. All right. Thank you. Karen, hello. Can you talk about Canada trips? Absolutely. So as I mentioned, folks, as of August 9th, Americans will be allowed to travel over to the Canadian border. You do need to be fully vaccinated. I will say that's a requirement to go into Canada. So just so everyone's on the same page, what I will suggest is, if any of you are looking to travel to Canada, my suggestion is at the earliest is to look no earlier than the fall of this year. The majority of folks that are looking to travel to Canada, they're in 2022, because obviously as Canada reopens, they need, of course, to also build back their staffing, open up all those restaurants, open up all those sightseeing tours. It takes a little bit of time. So my advice and suggestion is, any of you that want to go to Canada, certainly you can go anytime after August 9th, but I would almost consider waiting to the fall at the earliest, if not throughout 2022, just so they can rebuild and build back up that full level of service that so many of you would be accustomed to. Mackinac Islands, yes, Margaret, we go there. Fall foliage, yes, Emmanuel. Alaska, yes, Sherry, we go there, and that's with our sister brand, Rail Bookers. All right, Rail Bookers is the company that does Alaska. That's our sister brand. Acela, yes, we do that. Anita, let's see, okay. Holly, yes, so Amtrak works hand in hand with any of the freight trains. And what I will say, I've been on board almost 10 years. Holly, when I first started about 10 years ago, there was a little bit of delays here and there due to the freight trains. But what Amtrak did, which was absolutely fantastic, is they met with basically the head people at all the freight trains, and the freight trains met with the head people at Amtrak, worked hand in hand, created schedules that really try their best not to overlap and conflict with one another. And they've done a fantastic job. It's very rare that we hear any issues. Certainly, just like airlines, some delays can happen. Trains are no different, but it's very far and few between. All right. Thank you, Holly. Oh, Walter, thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad. I absolutely enjoyed the webinar. Thank you, Walter. Let's see. If we travel alone, hello, Elizabeth, and want a private sleeper, do we have to pay extra to make it just for one? It's always going to be a little bit more, Elizabeth, for any single or solo travelers, even if you were on a cruise line in a cabin, because it's one person taking the space of what two people would take. So always will be a little bit more, but it's not much more. And my advice is just give us a call or contact your local travel advisor so you can see, where you want to go, when, and what the difference in price would be. Okay. Let's see. Okay. We don't share people. So you would have your own room. So unless you bring a family or friend member, we don't match people together. So if you want your own single room, you absolutely can have that. Let's see. Okay. Daryl, yeah, I would just give us a call or contact your local travel advisor so you can see your 12-day trip. You can have access to that. Thank you, Elizabeth. Let's see, Aura, what are the train names for the fall foliage? I'm glad you asked, Aura. You have the Northeast Regional, all right, and you have the Downeaster Alexa, and you also have the Acela train. But the Downeaster Alexa, that is really the iconic train known for the fall foliage. All right. Let's see. Okay. Hello, Rhoda. Can you share a tip on how to price online for the California Zephyr from Chicago to San Francisco to include multiple stops to visit friends and sightsee? Rhoda, here's my best advice for you and everyone joining us is actually just picking up the phone and calling us or contacting your local travel advisor. Very complicated to book online, especially if you want to customize or personalize. The system just doesn't allow it. That's why so many folks call. And again, you speak to a person live on the phone, he or she, they can do put a package together right there and then, or if you have a package in mind, they can pull it up, tell you exactly what the pricing is based on where and when you're looking to travel. All right. Great questions, everyone. My goodness, I really appreciate it. Let's see. Okay. Ken, good question. Do some of the new Viewliner roomettes have their own toilets? Some of them do, Ken, but they're in the process over the next 3 to 5 years. They're in the process of upgrading and enhancing some of the different trains throughout the United States, including the Viewliners. Now, for those of you who may not be as familiar with Viewliners, those are all the trains, and thank you, Kent, for mentioning that. The Viewliners are all of our trains in the eastern United States, from Chicago out to New York, down to Florida. All the Superliner trains, those are all of the overnight long distance iconic trains, in particular out to some of the national parks. Those are known as Superliners, all right, which basically means they're double decker trains. Let's see. Okay. Hello, Melissa. What is the sleeping arrangement for a family bedroom? We have 2 adults and 3 children. Melissa, great question. And I could tell you, because I'm a family of 5 as well. A family bedroom would not work because that fits 2 adults and 2 children. What you would want to consider is to get 2 bedrooms, just like my wife and I did, and our 3 children, that are adjoining bedrooms side by side. You can open up the door in the middle. It's fantastic. The children loved it, and I know your family would as well. That's what I would recommend. All right. Let's see. Estella, many train accidents, far and few between, right? Again, we're not perfect, just like the airlines, but very, very far and few between. All right. Let's see. Oh, Elizabeth, nice. I'll be going from Richmond, Virginia to Nova Scotia next year. Fantastic. We are recording today's presentation, Shirley. Yep. Which is great. Hello, Corey. I have a high school daughter who wants to go to college in Florida. I am thinking of taking her via the train, Chicago to someplace in Florida. Approximate length of travel in terms of days and what train route would be. Let's say, let me just see. Great question, Corey. Let's say we want to go to Tallahassee. It's actually very, very simple, Corey. So you would actually go from Chicago. You could connect in through either Washington, D.C. or New York, where you have the ability. You could spend a night or two in either of those cities. You could stop along the way. You could stop at Charleston, Savannah. You can make a trip, a journey out of it, and go even one way, and at the end fly home if you choose. Whatever you prefer. Any trip can be customized, but you're looking, if you just went right through, you're looking at, it's an overnight out to New York or DC, and then it's an overnight down to Florida. So it would be 3 days, 2 nights if you literally just went completely by train and may want to stop at any hotels or sightseeing. Then, of course, we would add on to the trip from there. Let's see. Okay. Do you have to change trains if you come from any station? Great question, Mike. Pretty much all the major cities and train stations, that's where you would normally change. So, for instance, if you're going across country from New York to Chicago, there's a train that you'd be on the whole time. But when you get to Chicago, you'd switch from one train to another train. So again, any of the major cities is where they would have that. All right. Good questions, folks. We're almost down to the end over here. My mom and I are getting a bedroom from Dallas to Williams, then the Grand Canyon. Can't wait. Thank you, Jackie. That sounds awesome. And of course, the Grand Canyon, beautiful in October. Traditional dining, when will it begin, Brenda? She's asking on the East Coast. So we're not sure, Brenda. That may stay flexible dining, just so you know. And the reason why is trains in the East Coast are a little bit, they're not as long. They don't take as long to get from point A to point B. And they're also on Viewliners, which is single level trains, versus Superliners, which is the trains in the double decker. But they do have flexible dining. You get to order hot, fresh items for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You will have the option to eat in the dining area or have meals delivered right to your room. All right. So anyway, thanks, Brenda. Let's see. Okay. A couple more questions, and then we'll see if anyone has any more. The trains that have an observation cars deck, will those be open? They will, Stephanie. Yes. So, certainly any of the trains heading out in the Western United States, Chicago, west out to Yosemite, Glacier, Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, any of those iconic national parks, the observation cars will be open, and they are free of charge, regardless if you're in sleepers or coach seating as well. April, great question. She's asking, how do we handle luggage on those trains? So very easy. It's one of 2 ways, folks. All right. You can either check in your luggage right from the city you're departing from. at any of the major train stations. Not all the train stations allow you to check in luggage right from where you depart. Any of the smaller ones, typically you have to have your luggage on with you. But any of the major train stations, you have that ability, whether it's New York, Penn Station, Boston, Chicago, and you can check in your luggage to the final destination or the destination that you're arriving in to spend 1 or 2 nights in. What I personally like doing myself, everyone, and just a suggestion, I like having my luggage with me. I bring it on the train when I'm in an overnight sleeper. I store it in the first level. I have a lock. I always lock it. So if I need to get to it, I have that ability. But what I do is I bring a small carry-on bag with me to my roomette, to my bedroom. And in the carry-on, I have a change of clothes, my pajamas, any medication you may have to take, any toiletry items, any snacks, any good books or music. That's what I do. I like having that flexibility if you need it. Now, if you are connecting, yep, thank you, Brenda. If you are connecting, your luggage can be checked in all the way to your final destination if you choose, or if you want to pick up your luggage at the connecting point, if you want to have it with you, you have that ability. So it's totally up to you, whatever you choose. Joe, I am 6 feet 6 tall. Fantastic. Will the private sleeper accommodate me? Yes, Joe. In fact, my wife would tell you if she was here. Every time I see any person that's over 6 feet, I always think to myself, they would love train travel. Train travel is fantastic for any folks that are taller in height. So Joe, you'd be good and you'd be comfortable as well. All right, let's see. Hi, Jackie. What about long-term parking? We are coming from Houston. Yeah, so Houston, Dallas, any of the major cities, folks, throughout the United States, they do have long-term parking available where you can leave your car in their parking lot for multiple nights. All right. Melissa, happens if someone has a medical emergency on board? Great question, Melissa. The staff at Amtrak, I will say, is trained in many of the from CPR and a lot of the initial medical trainings, but they have stops made all along the way. Because remember, as you're traveling on board the train, people are getting on and off the train at all times at all the different train stations. Many of the stops might only be 5 to 10 minutes long. Some might be 15 to 20 minutes. It just depends. So chances are, if there's a medical emergency, they will arrange for you, your friends, family, whoever needs it, to be able to get off immediately at the next stop. So that's typically how any medical emergency is handled. But folks on board the train, the Amtrak staff, many of them do have some form of medical training, even if it's just more of a CPR type of training, until again you're able to get right off the train for any medical emergency. Melissa, hope that helps. All right, folks, I'm going to give you another minute or two. All right. Any questions that you may have, feel free to type those in. All right, I'm here for you. While I'm waiting for any last minute questions, I just wanted to say thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation as much as I enjoyed presenting to each and every one of you. And as I mentioned at the beginning of today's presentation, people are traveling in the United States right here in our own backyard, and there is not a better time to do that now more than ever. And if not for this year, because space is very limited throughout the United States, certainly as the rest of the world is a little more tricky and challenging to travel to at the moment, it's created a huge demand for people traveling right here in our own backyard. So with that in mind, let's see. Okay, thank you. I did see one other question. Hello, Brenda. What is the COVID requirements other than wearing a mask to travel on train? Uh, that's it, Brenda. It's just facial coverings and masks are required out in the open areas. Again, if you do upgrade to a private sleeper and your door is closed and those curtains are closed, folks, you have that option if you choose to take off your facial covering and mask. They are sanitizing the handles, the doorknobs, the toilets pretty much every hour upon the hour. They have fresh air that they're circulating every 4 to 5 minutes from outside to inside. I mean, it's really something that I like to say is really the silver lining with everything that's happened in the last year and a half, is it's just enhanced the safety and certainly the cleanliness and protocol that much more for many types of travel, from airlines to buses to, of course, train travel, right? But everybody would be required to wear a facial covering or mask on board the train in any open areas, but when you are in the privacy of your own sleeper, you can take off your facial covering or mask. I will tell you one other quick update as well, folks. When I went on my train ride recently from Boston South Station out to Chicago, when I went to the dining room and I sat down to eat, I was able to take off my mask from the comfort of the table as I was having something to drink and as I was eating. So once you're in your own once you're in your own seating in the dining area, you have that option if you choose. Okay. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. All right, folks, we are just about out of time and I don't want the webinar to shut off. So if I did not get to your questions, please know I tried my best. We have a huge turnout joining us here today, but don't even think twice, folks. Pick up that phone, give us a call, or contact your local travel advisor to plan your next rail vacation of a lifetime. On behalf of Amtrak Vacations, we look forward to having you, your friends, and family on board soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.